Welcome to Claims Corner with John Liberatore. I'm John Love, the moderator of this podcast, and I'm really with the star of the show because John is chair of our Claims Curriculum Committee. I want to thank you, John, for working so hard to develop the TCS curriculum. It's been fun, but
Mhm.
obviously there's a need. So we are having fun, aren't we, John?
Yeah, yeah, we no, we are. You make it fun. If the subject matter isn't fun, you make it fun. And
Well, I mean, are we geeks? Because I mean, is it an oxymoron to use the word fun and the word insurance in the same sentence? I don't know.
no,
I don't.
you got to have fun, otherwise you'll bang your head against the wall. Which I think is true in a lot of industries. We have our challenges in the insurance industry, for sure. And
Yeah, I mean, but if you don't like what you do, right? I mean, you like what you do, correct?
yeah, I love what I do. Yeah, it's
Which
going to be hard
and
to
Primacy
stop someday.
24/7. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about Primacy 24/7 before we get started.
Primacy risk services started 25 years ago. I was in the insurance industry, working for a large insurance company. Then I went to work for a large motor carrier. And to make a really long story short, and I did that a couple places. When I say large, I mean well over 1,000 trucks. I became pretty frustrated with a lot of things, and I'm not a patient person. It's one of my downfalls, but I think it serves me well in what we do. Uh, so I hung my shingle, as they say, in the year 2000. Started as a one-man band, doing a whole lot of consulting, and today we are a group of claim professionals and certainly some support staff, and we provide claims management, claims administration, whatever term you want to use, 48 states, 24/7. We're, a TPA, and we also work directly for motor carriers that have a large deductible.
So I think I know what you do, at least from a 5,000-foot level. I know how you handle trucking loss. When you go to a family reunion, what percentage of your family really understands what you do, or what do they think when they say there's Uncle John, he's in the insurance business.
That's probably as far as it goes. Or maybe if I'm lucky, they may tie me in with trucks. You do something with trucks, don't you? You know, and that's about it. And I go, yeah, I don't want to, bore them, but if they ask for some examples, I certainly do that.
Well, MCIF, probably every person that is touching MCIF could give an answer similar to the one that you're giving. Insurance
Yeah.
is a big word. And what we're doing is very specialized. I mean, it's truly specialized what you do. You're not adjusting liquor stores, and you're not examining grocery store claims
I,
unless the
I'm I'm
truck
gonna
ran into it, I guess,
I'm, I'm
right?
gonna I'm gonna tell you this. I've said this for many, many years. I think Hollywood is missing some really good material. And I don't spend a lot of time watching virtual reality shows. I know what they are. But is there a better virtual reality situation than a claim office where every claim that comes in is different and you have characters? I'll stop there. It could be fascinating for Hollywood.
Well, like a snowflake, there's no claim that's just like the claim that came in yesterday. I mean, they're
Well
all
said.
unique.
They're
That's
they're
no
all unique,
question.
and maybe that's what keeps us going, the
Yeah.
fact that the next one is going to be unique somehow, some way. It's going to be a
Well,
bit unique.
I don't want to age you, but I do like your barber, by the way. I mean, your barber's done a
I
really
know
good job.
I know you're jealous. Yeah.
When you started, was there a full head of hair? That's what I'm asking, I guess.
Look, I lost my hair at a very young age. I was certainly in my 20s. So it
Well,
was hereditary on both sides. So I was not going to escape it.
sorry for my poor attempt at humor, but I guess my point is, you've been around for a while. I'm sure that when somebody says, "Hey, John, give us a few stories," or you have some. You must have seen some crazy things through the years, some very interesting claims, some
Yeah,
things that made you think. and scratch your head and say, what do we do now?
Just when you thought you saw it all, then something, I mean, as recently as a few months ago, a guy in my office was explaining that he was handling a property damage claim. I'll make this brief. Property damage claim. Well, if it's property damage, you just got to make sure that there wasn't somebody in the car. Because sometimes, once in a great while, somebody will say, actually, I was asleep in the back seat and now I'm injured. Anyway, this was a property damage only claim. The person driving the car was well outside the car. No one in the car. No one in the car. The driver of the car was not the owner. Not a big deal. So now we're dealing with the owner of the car. Okay, no big deal. No problem. Happens all the time. Except the owner tried to put forth a claim, an injury claim, for the young lady that was driving the car. What? Yeah, I mean, I'll just stop right there. There's more to it, but it's like, what's your logic here, ma'am? That one was funny. That was really funny.
Well, I mean, sometimes you wonder if people are spending too much time looking at their phones trying to Google what's next. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a great job to study people. I'm not perfect. Some people would call me a real head case, or not, probably, I don't know, but 5, 10, 20% of the people are going to be, something about their claim is going to be unique about, yeah, it could be a lot of things.
well, there is a percentage of people that see an insurance claim as free money, right? And so there is a
Without
percentage of
question.
claim, yeah. There's a
Well,
percentage of claim where injuries have nothing to do with the request for funds, right?
I want to say though, I don't like to paint society with a broad brush.
Uh-huh.
There's many more good people and well-intentioned people than not. But here's the key. You got to get to them quickly to learn who they are. And people appreciate that. Speed, I preach, is everything in this business. Everything. The quicker we get dash cam, the quicker we get the name, the quicker we get a phone number, the quicker we make a phone call, the quicker we get the photos, and things just will materialize. Things will show themselves as real or not real. Okay, but
We're,
speed is everything.
we were teaching a class just yesterday to a nice group of folks, a claims class. And I started the class by asking, we described a very simple claim and said it was reported on time and there were really no coverage issues.
Mhm.
It's reported today, it happened today. When should the claim be closed? And the answers that we were given were between 2 weeks and 30 days. And that's probably right.
I would
And
say
the
it's right.
point about that is with just that one question, what somebody's done is they've given you a timeline for everything that needs to be done. Because we've just said so. We said from the moment it came in to the moment the claim was closed. So when you talk about speed, I'm assuming that as well, where you see things break down, there's probably a lack of organization, a lack of discipline. So just be organized. I'm betting there's not a lot of stuff laying around everywhere in your office.
No, I mean, but let me draw this analogy. If we're an emergency room, okay, I think this analogy works. So think of us as physicians, emergency room physicians. We're sitting around waiting to do our thing. We can't do anything until the patient comes in the door. When the patient comes in the door, then it's stat, like immediate. We have to respond, ask a lot of questions of the patient, or we open them up, or whatever the situation might be. But getting that patient to the hospital, so getting the claim and information to the claims people so they can do something with it is key. I talked to a large motor carrier not too long ago and asked them, what's the percentage of time that your drivers capture the name, phone number, and or license plate of the other vehicle? And they laughed at me. They didn't laugh at me. They laughed at the question and said, maybe 5% of the time. And I turned to the president and I said, you must tackle this problem. You got to get it from 5 to 10%, and then to 15, and then to 20, and then to 30. That causes all sorts of problems for the legit
Well, there's
claims
there's
and
a
the not
pile
and
of
the
cash.
non-legit.
There's a pile of cash associated with doing or not doing exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a little bit of money. It's a lot of money, right?
Potentially it's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every claim, when it's not so much the property damage claims, right? But when there's a human being, when the other vehicle is occupied, I like to say that's the only question I need to ask about an accident. Was the other vehicle occupied, yes or no? Because if the answer is no, you're dealing with property damage. Get the estimate. If there's an occupant, now you got a lot of work to do, and you better do it quickly. Yeah.
Quickly. So do you ever get to take a vacation? I'm guessing that when you're on vacation, you're taking your phone with you. I'm guessing.
Look, I'm like everybody else in that. I'm not a superstar. I'm like everybody else. If my trusted customer, / friend needs me, they call me, and I'll answer. Yeah, that's what we do. That's all. Yeah.
Hey, Lib, I'll change the subject a little bit. This is me personally. This is not you. If I was going to grade the insurance industry with regard to internal communication, and let's take the two biggest groups of the underwriting group and the claims group, and the communication between the two, and the coordination and the teamwork, I would give the trucking insurance industry, a fair grade at best.
Oh, it's at a
And
C plus.
rather than picking on the things that are wrong, turn that right side up and describe to me the types of relationships that you like to see and the teamwork you like to have from others that aren't directly involved in claims, but say the underwriting group.
There's a number of reasons to have a cadence in communication. I think claims people would do well to understand underwriting to some degree, and vice versa. Underwriting needs to understand more about claims to some degree. One way to do that, there's claim reviews happening all the time. An underwriter to sit in and ask questions is a great thing. If for no other reason than, and I'm guilty of this, as a claim person, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. And somebody on the proverbial outside here listens to the jargon going on and the approach and asks a great question. We need those questions. We don't want to be blinded by our own experiences and think, oh, I know what this claim is all about. I know what it's going to happen. No, we don't. No, we don't. We need to be open. So inviting an underwriter to sit in and listen and offer questions is a great thing. Claims people understanding underwriting a little better can only help. Can only help. Yeah. And that takes time and discipline, which the time is a precious commodity, as we all know.
The firms that do have cohesiveness, it doesn't matter whether they're selling rubber bands, building rockets, or in their truck insurance business. I mean, they're better firms. So this is not a secret recipe that we're talking about. It's talking about good proactive communication. I've said, from the underwriting side, the worst thing an underwriter can do is renew a risk he shouldn't have written in the first place. And that's going to happen when the claim occurs and there's no communication. And then after the risk is renewed, somebody said, what do you mean they're 27 units in Chicago every day? I didn't think that was the case. Well, I could have told you if you'd asked me. Well, you didn't tell me, and I renewed it. And here are 6 more claims, by the way. You're sunk. So, I mean, that, the hyperbole I give just to kind of be funny. But, man, I got to tell you, to work with you is a pleasure. And what you're teaching young people that are getting into the claims business and people that have been in the claims business every day is a real gift. And we can't thank you enough. Before we leave, because we're going to do part 2, we're going to do two podcasts. You oversee a lot of claims. What percentage of them do you think involve litigation or lawyers, or at least a third party that's representing
Well,
your claimant?
let's break down the claims this way. It's a 60-40 rule generally, or 70-30. 60 or 70% of the claims are going to be property damage only.
So
Okay,
they're
so that,
easy.
yeah, I mean, there's a rhythm to those, and once in a while there's issues. Diminished value is not a big issue, but hey, you backed into my headlamp and my glove box doesn't close anymore. I've seen
Yeah.
those. Where the money is, there's more PD claims, and the bigger dollars are in the BI, right? So that's the BI gets my attention all day long. The PD people, though, are so valuable because they're carrying the freight, so to speak, for 70% of the claims. That's a lot of
Mhm.
money. That's a lot of money, you know?
Well,
So,
if you don't handle those well, you're sunk, as I said before.
yeah,
So you need to spend your time on complicated claims, not on overseeing matters that,
yep.
if you're organized and got the right people, are gonna pretty much, I don't want to say handle themselves, but you've got a pattern that works, I guess.
Yeah. To answer
All
your
right.
question about the percentage of lawyers involved, it's
Yeah.
creeping up, and it has been for the past 20 years.
Mhm.
I can't give you a hard number. I would say of the BI claims now, right?
Mhm.
I would say I it depends on what claim office you're talking to, the claim
Yeah.
department, because I've seen some departments that are so reactive and don't jump on things, and then it invites the lawyers. So
Okay.
it could be anywhere from 20% to 50%.
Right. Hold that thought, because that's part two. But for this podcast today, where we're answering the question, what in the world do you do, John Liberatore? We'd like to thank you for joining us in Claims Corner. You're the greatest, Lib.
No, I'm not the greatest. Thank you, though.
Oh, yeah, you are. Don't take a compliment. You can do it. Come on.
No,
All right.
thank
Thank
you.
you, John Liberatore.